Are you thinking about making your first multifamily real estate purchase and are feeling a little lost or maybe even a little scared? Well, today we are going to cover everything from negotiations to closing the deal in our beginner video number 6, our final one. Woohoo!
I'm Amanda. This is Allie. We are with ProspHer Collective. We are a woman-owned group that empowers women through commercial real estate investing to create wealth and financial freedom for themselves and their families.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us. Amanda, tell us the 5 steps we're going to cover today in getting to the closeline.
So the 5 steps for negotiating a deal are: you need your preparation phase. This is before negotiation starts. You're going to make an offer, negotiate that offer. Then you're going to do your due diligence, and the best part, you're going to close on the deal.
Yes.
So Allie, let's dive into preparation. Can you kind of give us a rundown of what's involved in preparation?
So preparation is everything you need to do before you make your offer. We cover this in depth in our beginner series videos 1 through 4, but just a quick overview. You need to know your market. You need to have your own criteria. You need to be able to run a 10-minute analysis, and you need to have a broker.
And we have some amazing freebies for all of that preparation that are in our Facebook group that is free to join. So hop over, join, get all of our awesome freebies.
We would love to have you there.
So back to the preparation, Allie.
So the last thing I said was you need to make sure you have a broker. Amanda, why is a broker so important in this process?
Well, essentially, they are the ones that are going to kind of be your protector and your guardian through the whole negotiation process. And that's why it's so key to get a really experienced, knowledgeable broker who knows his or her market, the ins and outs, who has a lot of experience in negotiating deals, because they are going to guide and help you through the entire process and hopefully steer you away from making a bad deal.
Yes, and I would add to that, you want to find someone that you can trust, right? There are brokers out there that are just trying to make the sale, and they're not going to advise you if you're making a bad deal or a good deal. You want to make sure that you find someone you can trust.
And I guess that brings up the question, how would we find a good broker?
I say referrals, right? Asking around, go to your local meetups, ask who they're using, and then you can go online to LoopNet or Crexy and see who has the most listings. Obviously, people are trusting them if they're doing business and continuing to do business in their area.
Okay, so now I have a killer broker.
Yes.
We have a deal.
Yes.
I have all of my preparation done, and I am ready to make an offer.
Yay!
So, Allie, where do I go? What's going to be involved in that offer stage?
The first thing you're going to do is draft up an LOI. When I say you, I mean your broker, in conjunction with you, are going to draft up an LOI.
What's an LOI?
Stands for letter of intent. So this is an interesting step which you don't see in residential. It's hey, we're interested, here's kind of what we're thinking. You negotiate back and forth on this single piece of paper.
What's going to be included in the LOI?
Your offer price, your closing, any other terms that you want, maybe you want offer seller financing, maybe you want 6 months to close, and all those terms are going to be negotiated in the first initial LOI. So basics are purchase price, how much time for due diligence, and when you're going to close.
And I know in most commercial deals, there's always earnest money involved.
Yes.
Can you kind of tell us what's standard and what earnest money is?
So once you go under contract, you'll be required to pay the seller a certain amount of money in title or escrow, and usually it's typically between 1% and 3% of the purchase price. And that's your guarantee if you get further in the contract that if you back out, the seller gets to keep your money. So you want to put the lease amount down in case for some reason you do have to back out of the deal last minute, but it is for the seller's benefit to make sure you really will keep up your end of the bargain.
And that makes sense because you're essentially stopping marketing of their property and your intentions are to purchase the property. So it shows you have some skin in the game and intent on closing.
Yes.
So now we have our LOI. I'm assuming we're going to have a lot of negotiating and back and forth going on.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you don't want to make, well, it depends once again on the market. You may need to make a full price offer if the market is crazy and things are just like going like that when it's a seller's market. But if it's not a seller's market or it's evenly, like the market is evenly matched right now, then you want to leave room for negotiation. I don't know if have you ever seen a deal where like that you give an offer and they're like, yeah, I'll take it.
I've never participated in a deal that's gone that way.
Or if they do, that should probably be a red flag that they want to get rid of the property.
True,
right?
That would be a red flag. So we've gone back and forth.
Yes.
We've negotiated all of the terms in the LOI. So kind of the purchase price, the due diligence period, how much I'm paying in earnest money is kind of all
financing.
Yep, it's all kind of locked. I have my pre-approval letter.
Yes.
That's done. So what kind of happens after the LOI?
Then a contract will be executed where the LOI was pretty simple, a page or two of details. Then it goes into contract form, which is 10, 15, could be.
And I'm guessing with these contracts, I would want an attorney to review the contract and make sure that everything's kosher and safe. And also my broker should also review the contract.
For sure. Especially if your broker's experienced, like they're going to be like your first set of eyes and they'll see a bunch of red flags like, oh, like you don't want to like agree to this or you should agree to this or let's change this language. And then yes, for sure, you need to find a real estate attorney that's on your team that you can have review the contract as well. You never want to just go into something thinking you have all the parts and pieces. I mean, I don't know about you, but reading contracts,
we've seen this go really bad in several cases, though.
Yes. So having that extra eyes of like person that's on your team with just your sole benefit is crucial.
And I guess we've made our offer, and now we're kind of really into negotiating the deal with the buy-sell contract.
Yes. Yep, that is a negotiation, going back and forth on documents and terms. And you're going to solely rely on your broker and your attorney to make sure you get it where you need to be to close.
Which gets us to our step 4, which is our due diligence period.
Yes.
And this is a pretty critical step where we're going to kind of want to really dig deep into the financials and the physical aspects of the property.
This is like the most important part, I would say, out of anything, right? Everything else you've done to this point, even being under contract, like you can get out of it, but this piece right here, if you don't do it correctly and well, you're going to regret it.
Can you really dive in and tell us like what are we going to want to do during this due diligence?
So the first piece would be the financial due diligence, I would say, right? Like the seller has given you information and now it's like, is that information correct? And a lot of times they just give you like very like high level, like rent roll or income statement.
Yeah, what information would I want to ask the seller for?
I would ask for like a T12 for the last 3 years or even 5 years on the property.
What is a T12?
That is their income statement. So it shows everything from income to expenses and then like their net profit at the end of the day.
So the T12.
Yes, and you're looking for inconsistencies, right? Did they market the property that you were gonna make, let's say, $20,000 at the end of the day, and now you're looking at the financials and you're like, they're only making $10,000 at the end of the day. Like that's a huge difference that you would want to go back and renegotiate, right?
And yes, and my property like management brain is saying I should also ask for the rent roll, and even lease agreements to review, and as well as like any maintenance records that they have of the property.
Yeah, so like sticking with the financials, the next would be, right, the T12, then the rent roll would be like the next thing you want to scrutinize. You want to look for some like odd things here is like, are all the leases starting at the same time? Like, did they just like move people in really quickly to increase their income?
Or is it a brand new construction?
And then that makes sense.
That all of the leases are coming due, but it makes sense, but it's also going to mean heavy turnover when all of those leases come up to expire.
Yes.
We're getting into the weeds, so let's
so on the rent roll, you want to just make sure that the information is accurate, right? Like if it says someone's in unit 2 and then here in a few minutes you're going to go do an inspection and unit 2 is empty, like that's a problem. Like your rent roll is not accurate.
So make sure like your vacancy rate is accurate. What other financial records would we request other than the T12 and the rent roll?
I would say those are your biggest two, but you can ask for utility bills if you feel like the utilities are not accurate. You can ask for maintenance bills if you feel like they're not being accurate on the maintenance, or you just feel like there's red flags. Like one important thing is just like look for trends, right? Like if you're looking for 3 years and you can see maintenance costs are $20,000 a year, and then they're projecting $10,000, like that's a red flag. Or all of a sudden they have a $50,000 a year, that's a red flag. Then you want to dig into those specifics. So anything that just like, you're like, it's kind of like a puzzle, right? It doesn't make sense in your mind. Like those are the things you want to ask for documentation if it's accurate. We probably should do a full video on this piece, but yeah.
For sure. And I think too, I lost my thought. So yes, we should. So now that we're through with like what to request with the financials, let's dive into the physical inspection, because we're going to want to really dive deep into this inspection. What are we going to be looking for in that physical inspection during our due diligence?
So one is you want to get into every single unit. Don't let them convince you like that all the units are the same. Like they all are.
They are not.
Yeah, like they're all like, like you need to physically get into every single closet, every single unit, every single mechanical room, and physically see what condition it's in.
We recently, the last property we walked had a unit where the pipes had broken and it was completely destroyed.
Yeah.
And then another unit hadn't been updated since probably the 70s.
Right, but the ones they were showing us were the ones that
were updated. So you want to get into as many units as all of the units.
Yes, all of the units. So that's the first thing you're looking for. And then you're in your mind, right? Like, does this need to be updated? Like, you're turning on water. Like, is it making sure is it like running properly? You're flushing toilets to make sure like it actually flushes so that you don't have any sewer issues.
Like we're gonna want to look at the age of our mechanical systems.
Yes. So you want to bring your key people with you, right? Like you want to bring an HVAC specialist with you. You want to bring a plumber with you. You want to bring a roofer, an electrician. Like you may have to pay them $100 to come, but like spending, let's say $1,000 to do that inspection will save you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on the back end, because if there's major things that are wrong, that's the time to negotiate them in your purchase price.
Yes, and that's where the key to having a great broker who knows how to negotiate when you find these red flags in your physical and your financial inspections, they are going to come and be a huge asset.
Yes.
And as our freebie for our video 6, we have done an interview with our amazing broker who is going to kind of give you his best negotiating tips and what to look for in a great broker. So if you want that video, join our Facebook group, which we mentioned earlier in the video. It's free.
Yes. So those are the physical and financial. That's what you're going to do during your due diligence period.
And now that we've passed all the 4 steps and you know you're buying a good deal, we're going to close on the deal. And Allie, what is involved in the closing process? We have our financing locked down and figured out, and kind of what are the steps of closing?
Yeah, I would say the financing, just to back up, like should end up in your due diligence period, right? Like that's where you're really locking in your rates and which bank you're gonna go with after you've done all that like digging into it and you can come to that final price. You should be talking to your bankers all along, right? Don't wait till the very last minute, like I'm gonna close in 2 weeks.
As soon as have your LOI, you really should be talking to your banks and your agencies or seeing if owner financing is an option.
Yes. And one other thing on due diligence that I forgot to mention is you want to make sure you write down all your key dates in your contract. Like when do you need to have this by, like, right? Because there's all these release dates, like financing release date, inspection release date. Like usually a phase 1 is required. So, and you don't want to miss those, because when you miss them, that's when your earnest money goes
And
hard.
I think you're talking like a language that a lot of people might not understand. Like,
True.
what is a phase? Like, what is a phase one?
A phase one is an environmental test that banking requires on all commercial purchases. Your banker will be the one who
Determines if it's needed.
Yes, which 98% of the time it will be, probably even 100%, because it's a banking regulation that there's no environmental issues that need to be cleaned up.
So that will be a part of the financing time frame.
Yep, and your due diligence. Yes. So you would just want to make sure, don't wait till last minute to do your financing, because it is a long process.
Okay. So as soon as I get the LOI, dive into the financing.
Yes.
And be doing that actively as I'm doing my due diligence, doing
Yes.
my physical and my financial inspection on the property.
Yes. for
Financing needs to be going on that whole time.
Yeah, because if you renegotiate a price or anything, like that can all be just quickly updated to your banker.
Okay, so I have all of those pieces set,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm going to sit down. I'm going to go to the title company.
Yes. So you've hit your closing date. Now you're going to schedule a meeting with your title company, and usually they'll send you the purchase documents ahead of time so you can review them, because there's lots of pages usually. Make sure those are correct. Then you'll be going to sit down and you'll be signing your name and initials a lot of times. By the time you're done, your hand always
It's kind of the funnest part,
Yes.
because once they're all signed, you are an official real estate investor.
Yep. All the funds will transfer that day, depending on what time of the day you close. And then, yes, you'll get the keys and you'll be the official owner.
Okay, so let's recap. Our 5 steps were our preparation, making an offer, we're negotiating our offer,
Yep.
we're doing our due diligence, which includes our physical and our financial inspection and our financing.
Yep.
And then we are going to close on the deal.
And then celebrate.
Yeah. So now you know all the steps to closing on a real estate commercial property. Woohoo!
Now go close one and tell us all about it.
And join our Facebook group for all of our freebies from our beginners series. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.